Hi, and welcome to Global Connect TV. And today we have a special panel for you, the Innovation Fast Track. So this panel is going to be looking at several areas of innovation, looking at customer data, customer loyalty, and also product design. So I'm going to introduce the panel to you now. First we have John Kale from Segment, then Thomas Burgess from Linkable Networks, and finally we have Daniel Smith from Ideon. So how important is innovative products in the savings world?
I think it's fundamental. I mean, it's innovation is key to what banks need today, and what these two colleagues are talking about here is obviously innovative as well. But I think one of the problems we see within the savings investment space over the last few years is really products haven't changed for the last 20 years. People are repackaging, rebranding the same product, repricing them, and I think when I look back at some of the messages we've been hearing the last couple of days, people like Debbie Bianucci, she's talking about delivering the unexpected. We look at the best exponent of that's probably Apple. They're delivering the unexpected and they're ahead of the game. Or even Howard Putnam yesterday, talking Southwest, and they're great innovators, and talking about the need to create a positive interaction dialogue with customers. And also I think one other key message he came out with that I found very interesting was customers don't want to be sold to, customers want to buy. And I think those messages are absolutely fundamental when we talk about innovating savings investment products, because we need to look at how do we really get to the customer and create this dialogue. And we look around a lot of the time at Ideon at what's going on in other markets, whether it's Asia, Australia, Europe, and there's a number of tendencies that really tie in and resonate with those messages that I mentioned. One of the things is I think you just used the word the credit crunch and saving. This credit crunch is really kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit, and people now are kind of changing their focus. Instead of living on credit, we now need to help people to save. But go a little bit further than the typical financial planning calculators, but actually give them a true financial planning. Build your dreams. Tell me what your objectives are. Let's build the product, but dynamically build the product on the fly for what that customer's needs are. So that whole concept of kind of lends itself also to like what we call product customization. But customization at the point of sale, it really kind of opens up a dialogue with the customer as well, as Howard was mentioning. Why don't we ask the customer what he really needs? We're all different. Some customers need liquidity. Some other customers want a guaranteed APY. Some of them may want to trade off that APY for maybe some sort of reward payment, option payment at the end of the life of their savings deposit.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, is this being driven by banks seeing a need to provide innovative saving products, or are customers now coming to banks and saying, we want more options?
It's both.
Okay.
Here in the US, we haven't seen it so much. There are some exponents of that. We look at people trying to innovate like PNC with their virtual wallet. We see things like SmartyPig. But in reality, I guess, that's a great step forward, but the underlying products are still really the same products we've had for the last 20 years. To actually give customers at the point of sale this ability to personalize is fundamental, because we're starting to understand our customer a lot better. And even take that into another area, which is cross-selling. I think you just mentioned about the Durbin Act and how that's going to hit people on revenues and fees. How can we grow in a sort of a stagnant market? We need to find some other way, and we talk about cross-selling, but if we could actually do cross-selling through a sort of a dynamic relationship pricing, so it's not just relationship pricing at the point of sale, at the time of sale, which is a problem because customers make commitments to do things and we price based on that. But what happens, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road? Did that customer really follow those commitments? If we can actually build that relationship pricing dynamically into the actual payout, so your interest payments, your coupon payment, or your option payout is dynamically tied to the relationship, whatever metric we want at the time of the payment, then we're really creating a trend towards loyalty, which a lot of banks are looking for. How can we get customers more loyal? And I was interested also what these two colleagues were talking about multi-channel delivery. I think for many years now we've heard about alternate channels, but I don't think anyone dare uses the word alternate these days. It is the primary channel for some of our key customer segments. But I think sometimes, again, blending a little bit with relationship pricing, personalization, if we're not careful with some of these channels, we lose that ability to have a dialogue with the customer. because again, we're trying to just push products, we're pushing out offers. If we could build into that channel delivery this dialogue of what do you need, what are your goals, what sort of liquidity do you need, then we're actually maintaining that dialogue with customers, and customers actually feel they're buying something rather than being sold to. So I think that's fundamental. And I think if banks can execute on those different fronts, they're going to create a much stronger relationship with customers. It's going to give them greater share of wallet, which I think every bank talks about. Every bank wants to get that, but it's difficult. And I think probably just a final point on that about the need for innovation. I always find it quite interesting. When we look at what our platform offers, and banks talk about innovation, and they come up with a new product that they want to offer out to the customers, and it's 6 to 9 months to get it to market. How can you use the word innovation and then talk about it's going to take me 6 to 9 months to deliver it? It's a contradiction in terms. It has to be quick. When we show banks, how, the IDEON platform, you've got all these different features. You can set up your product and literally decide what channels do I want to aim it at, what customer segments, how am I going to price it, am I going to allow personalization, and I can literally have that out to those customers in like 10 minutes. Then that's innovation, because 9 months is not innovation. So I think that's the key thing we find is banks are starting to realize that, as you said, through other channels, getting that dialogue with customers, and customers appreciate it. They start to feel they're being listened to. It goes back to what Howard said. Customers want to feel there's a dialogue. They want to feel they're being listened to, that we're adapting to them, and as Debbie said, delivering the unexpected.